I'm Jai, one of the Smoke Face Grillers. We're one of the competition barbecue teams on the circuit. Finished second overall, pulled in 4 GCs, which included Port Macquarie in the Invitational this year. Both competitions, we got first place ribs and second place pork, and then alternated around with first place pork, second place ribs. It's been the absolute backbone of what we've done this year. Today I'm going to take you through the pork rib recipe. First of all, we start off with a rack of ribs. We get them from Kelly's Meats. He trims them out for us, tries to get them as square as possible. Always run St. Louis. We used to run baby backs, but we prefer baby backs, but as a comp team, St. Louis seem to kick goals for us. First of all, we trim the top off, get that layer of fat and off that belly meat straight off the top of the rib. We flip it over, we come hard on the bone, and we come down on an angle. We try to trim that meat right back across that bone to help with that pullback on the bone for presentation. Once we've finished trimming the rib up, we get it nice and clean and presentable, close to how we want. We come across with some rub. So with the rub, don't be frugal with it. Obviously we start with the rub on the back. Get all your layers on the back because you want to keep that front nice and presentable. You want to get a nice even layer right across that rib. So a lot of it will go to wastage, but you need to maintain that layer so you're not getting clumps of rub across it. We're all about building flavour profiles. We want to hit you with 2 or 3 flavour profiles across the category. Whether it's some sweetness with some heat, sweet with savoury, we're always looking to add a multi-level flavour profile, just so the judges get that multiple layer hitting their palate and gives them something different and tries to stand out from the rest of the field. Once you come across that front, put it to the side and we let it sit for an hour. Let that rub get into the meat, get that flavour in there, let it penetrate that skin. Well, after we do that, we're going to cook this straight on the Myron. We're a hot and fast team. We run at 300. We'll be looking to knock these ribs out anywhere from about 2 hours to 2.5 hours from start to finish. So the fuel that we use on the Myron, we start off with Heat Beads cocoa shells. It's been our go-to fuel this year. It's been the base of our success. We get a whole bag of Heat Beads cocoa shells right on that tray. We fill her right up and then we get a chimney with the booster just to speed up the process. That booster gets those coals nice and hot. You can see we run a minion method within that crate, put a piece of timber straight over the top and we slide her in the Myron and we leave that for an hour. So within an hour, the Myron will be humming along at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, ready for the cook to start with a nice clean smoke. Once the smoke is up to temp, these ribs will go into the smoker. They'll go in anywhere from about 45 minutes to an hour. We purely judge it off colour. We leave a space open for that window just because different ribs react different ways. Once that colour gets too dark, you're probably going to burn that rib. It becomes really tough to present and gives a hard crust over the top, especially when doing hot and fast. Once we get the colour that we like, we'll pull the ribs out. Then we wrap them. People can wrap them with a lot of different things. Obviously the basics are sugar, apple juice, honey, and then or come in with a barbecue sauce, whatever you feel like throwing in on there. So we wrap them up twice, we'll throw them back in the smoker and then we let them sit for an hour and we don't touch them for another hour. Once that hour comes up, we'll check them every 15 to 20 minutes. We look for a tenderness effect. We don't go off time, so we start opening them up and we just start checking every rib in the areas that we want to take the ribs from for tenderness. Once we hit that tenderness, we'll pull the ribs out, we'll flip them over, we'll come across with our sauce, we'll put our rib back in the smoker, let that sauce set, and then they're ready for cutting. So the reason we believe our ribs have been so successful this year is you've got to start off with a quality product. That's the first part of the process. So you really need a nice rib with some nice meat on there, probably the hardest part of it. And then we build our flavour profiles. I'd call ourselves a sweet heat team. And then once you get that flavour built, it's all about the tenderness. It's all about hitting that tenderness note. With the water in the Myron, it just seems to make pork hum, and that tenderness note on the rib is like nothing other. It becomes juicy, becomes moist. We believe that hits the mark every time for us.